welcome to the Geeky Cauldron. My name is Alyssa, and we are going to be talking about a Cold War episode of Doctor Who. Yeah! It's chilly in here. Sorry again for the delay. Once again, my health is contributing to my delays, but we'll see. I'm gone for a couple MRIs, and I have more doctor's appointments coming up, so hopefully I will be able to get down, I will be able to get to the bottom of this, and we will be able to figure this out. Until then, we will discuss the most recent episode of Doctor Who called Cold War. It was written by Mark Gatiss. He's awesome. This was probably, in my opinion, the best episode of the season so far. Just gonna throw that out there. I love what he's done with this episode. I love that it was a bottle episode. I love how it was super reminiscent of Alien. They already kind of did an Alien-esque episode in Dalek, but this one was really cool. It was cool. So it's set in the North Pole in 1983, and it's aboard a Soviet submarine which is running nuclear launch drills in the middle of the ocean. I'm pretty sure that's Captain Davros Seaworth, but whatever. And it opens up, and the Russians are practicing launching their nukes, and then they're like, all right, practice over. And you can tell there's one guy on the ship that's like kind of a douche, and he sort of really just wants there like to actually be a war instead of a Cold War, and he's making all these, not so subtle hints that war is coming and you never know what's going to happen. And then we really get to what this episode is going to be about, political allegories aside. And there's a professor who appears who looks like a janitor wearing this awesome 80s 8-track player or tape cassette player, played by David Warner, who is absolutely hysterical. And we find out that this professor found something in the ice when they were drilling and figured it was a mammoth. Don't ask me how, because the ice block wasn't that big, and it's down in storage. But as everything usually goes, there's always going to be that one asshole who wants to fuck with the frozen in ice thing. And he goes down to the bottom, whatever, the cellar or whatever it is in the ship, and he's like, the captain said to wait to defrost you until we got back to the motherland, but I'm a fucking idiot, so let's do it anyway. And he basically starts melting this big giant ice cube down, and we find out that it is not a mammoth in there. Probably wasn't going to be, because again, it wasn't that big, but it is an ice warrior. Now, the ice warriors are kind of a sort of huge monster in the Doctor Who series. I mean, we haven't seen them since 1974, and they've only been in a handful of episodes, but they are a huge monster for people. They resonate with us, and to see the ice warrior come back, from what I have read or understand, Moffat did not want to bring them back, and Gatiss was like, no, we're bringing them back. Which was cool, because I really liked the Ice Warriors, and I thought it was a really cool thing to do. So basically, they melt down the Ice Warrior, and he chokes and kills the guy who was in the brig, and then decides to go on a rampage around the submarine, which is now sinking. Cue the Doctor and Clara's entrance, and Eleven just walks right out of the TARDIS and goes, "Viva Las Vegas!" And he's got his Elvis glasses on, and he's getting dripped on by a sinking submarine. And they quickly find out that his TARDIS landing skills are not getting any better, and he managed to put them smack in the middle of a submarine in 1983 North Pole, Russia, US tensions. Side note, can't help but point out the dig at the United States, because I love digs at the United States. I think we deserve them. American aggression is growing more and more intolerable by the day or something. I found that pretty funny. So, of course, the Doctor and Clara appear on the ship. The Russians, being Russians, are like, what the fuck? This is crazy. You must be spies. And, tie them up. The Doctor comes face to face with the monster. We find out that it is General Skaldek, sovereign of the Olympian caste and vanquisher of the Phobos heresy. And he is the biggest war hero in the Ice Warrior world. And he has been frozen in time and does not realize that everyone from his species is now scattered across the universe. They are not controlling Mars anymore because they are Martians. They're kind of sort of been frozen in ice in a bunch of different places. And he's pissed off because, like any stupid human, especially during the Cold War, would do, he has been shot at by the people on the submarine, and he is super not happy about it. And he has an awesome voice, by the way. So he goes on and on about how, according to Martian law, you shot at me, so now you've shot at my people, which means I'm calling a war against you, which means I'm going to kill everyone on this submarine, which means you're totally fucked. Cool. So, of course, the Doctor tries to save the day by reasoning with General Skaldeck, and, of course, this is basically always the recipe for disaster. You have someone who thinks they're doing the right thing by being overly aggressive, who decides to cattle prod him from behind. Apparently the suits do not react well to high heat. So, kind of a design flaw, but it happens. So he gets knocked out of his williness, and they chain him to a pole. I think you understand how dangerous he is when the Doctor explains who he is and said he's Grand Marshal of the Martian race and he's a war hero. You need to lock him up. And I was like, oh, okay, this isn't a joke. Like, this guy is, like, not a fucking joke. The Doctor makes it clear that you attack one of them, you're basically declaring war. And then you find out that Skaldeck is sending out a little homing beacon to all of the other ice warriors, like, find me, my brothers, like, come and save me. So they're arguing over who's gonna go try and reason with him, and the captain wants to, and the Doctor's like, no, 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 he'll smell soldier on you. And the captain's like, well, he'll smell soldier on you. And then Clara's like, well, I don't smell of anything, so I'm going. So she puts on this adorable little headset, and they walk her through everything that she has to say to him, the salute. You know, she's doing pretty well. And then the lights go out, and then she's still doing pretty well. And he's answering her, and he's talking about how, you know, I was fighting alongside my daughter, and now everyone in my family is dust, and this is crazy. Like, have I really been asleep for 5,000 years? Like, what have I been missing? Like, holy crap, like, my daughter's definitely dead. That sucks. And then she gets a little bit closer and his head pops off and you're like, oh, well, that's weird. And you realize that he's not in his suit because the big giant thing that he's been walking around in is not him. It is a big giant suit because they're biomechanoids. So they're like half, like, you know, a thingy and half a suit. So he takes off his suit. Apparently his business is all out. And he's running around the ship now. And Clara realizes, oh, fuck, like, well, he's not here. The Doctor then makes it clear that they never shed their suits. It is a huge dishonor to shed their suit, and it must mean that he has lost all faith, because he makes his call to his brothers and he doesn't hear from them, and he sits there for a second and thinks like, wow, it's been 5,000 years, no one's going to be alive, and he basically feels like he has nothing to live for anymore, so he decides he's going to just get naked and start killing people. I mean, that's what I would do in that situation, so who wouldn't is the real question. Now, you realize that he's running around, and the Doctor and everyone are, first of all, worried about the fact that they're losing air, because they're, you know, a broken submarine lying in the middle of the ocean, and they're leaking, and they're slowly losing oxygen. And so we've got to worry about that problem, and we've also got to worry about the fact that we've got a really pissed-off naked ice warrior running around. Who does the naked ice warrior run into but the douchebag first mate guy who loves war? And he puts his creepy long hands around the guy's head, and he's like, I think that I'm gonna kill everyone. And the guy's like, we could be partners. No. And the guy's like, partners? What do you know about me? I don't think we should be partners. That's the point in the show where you're like, I knew this guy was a dick. He wants to be partners with the creepy fingers. Obviously, he explains to him that, you know, the Cold War has the idea of MAD, or mutually assured destruction, which is basically, we know that if one of us shoots off a nuke, the other one's going to shoot off a nuke, and we're both going to kill each other. Skaldeck is like, mutually assured destruction. I like the idea of that because I'm pretty sure everyone in my family is dead, and this makes me mad. So he goes, oh, well, the Cold War hasn't happened, or there is no war, and the guy's like, yet. So you're like, oh, so he wants to fuck everybody up. He's not going to be happy with just fucking up the submarine. He wants to take pretty much everyone down with him. Doctor has his little moment where he explains to Clara that history is in flux. It can be rewritten. Thank you, River. And she kind of goes, oh fuck, so maybe the world could end right now, and that would really suck. And Clara, the Doctor, and the awesome Professor go together, and they find two other people on the ship who have been brutally murdered by Skaldek. The Professor goes, oh, it's savage. And the Doctor's like, it's not savage, it's forensic. He's ripping you apart and figuring out your strengths and your weaknesses so he can pretty much completely annihilate you, because that's what they do. Clara, you see it in her face, this is actually her first real brush with danger, because let's be honest, the whole, like, getting lost in a fucking computer screen, albeit, while it's scary, there's not that, like, well, I'm gonna get dismantled by a crazy ice warrior scary. And the whole Rings of Akatan's soul-eating planet, I don't think she ever really was in danger. So this is Clara's first real brush with terrifying danger. And she sees these dead bodies, and you see it in her face that it doesn't sit right with her face. She's freaked the fuck out. Like, that's it. So the Professor, once again, being the awesome guy, he's trying to snap her out of it. And he's asking her, what do you do? You know, what do you do for fun? And you're obviously a time traveler. And she's like, I don't know, stuff. Now, obviously, she could have been scared and couldn't remember what she did. But some people are like, stuff. Why can't she remember things that she does for fun? Maybe it's because she's not actually her. Maybe she's just like some sort of vessel, and she only has like a bunch of memories implanted in her head by maybe the Daleks, and maybe that's why she can't remember what she does for fun. There's another thing that she says in this episode that we're going to touch on at the very end. I'm going to get to it. I promise. I'm going to get to it. It has to do with wolves. The Professor is being fucking adorable, and I have a soft spot in my heart for old men. I think they're the cutest things in the world, and I never want them to die, and all I can think of is Wilf, Donna Noble's grandfather, and I just never ever want them to ever get hurt ever. It makes me very sad. No, don't touch the old man. And so he's being really cute, and he's asking her, do you know Duran Duran? Do you want to sing Duran Duran? She's like, I'm not going to sing Duran Duran. And then there comes a point where I think he's going to get, like, killed so many times. I'm just waiting for it to happen. And she laughs at a joke that he makes, and as soon as she does, the hands come onto her head from the ceiling, and you're like, oh my god, Clara's dead. The Professor whips out a pistol, and he's like, pew, pew, pew! And then the hands go in his head, and I'm like, oh my god, no, he's gonna die. And then, like, the shadow of Skaldek's face is up in the rafters, and he's like, this planet will be red with blood. Like, I'm gonna start a new red planet. Mars may be done, but I'm gonna make a new red planet, and it's gonna be red with the blood of humanity. And you're like, oh, well, you're fucking crazy. Cool. And the captain comes in, and he points his gun at him. He's like, you wear your armor for a reason. Let's find out why. And the Doctor's like, you're not shooting him. We're compromising. We're having a discussion right now, okay? He's like, okay, well, if we're going to sit here and discuss things, I'm gonna do it with a gun pointed at it. And Skaldek is like, oh, I congratulate you, Captain. That is very excellent technique, but you may not be in as much of an advantage as you think you are, because guess what? I can make my armor come to me. I can summon my armor and get back in it. He's gonna detonate the nukes, and he's gonna fire the first blast of the Cold War, and basically make the Cold War happen and make mad, mutually assured destruction happen. That's all he wants. The Doctor runs to the nuke room, and he's got his finger on the button, and he's like, is this really how you want history to remember you? And so begins the Doctor logic. The thing that the Doctor will always win, because he's fucking 1,000 years old, and he can sit there and say to you, I've been around for a really long time. I'm telling you, this isn't how you want people to remember you. Realizes that it's not gonna work, because Skaldek is like, whatever, I got nothing to live for. Everyone's going down with it. Like, peace, motherfuckers. Like, peace out, bro. I don't care. You're all dead. And so the Doctor takes out his screwdriver, his sonic, which somebody found for him, the Professor found for him, and he's like, fine, that's it. I'm a Time Lord. I know a lot about sonic technology. Don't make me do this. And Skaldek is like, you threaten me? And he's like, threaten you? I'm going to threaten everybody. I'm going to blow up this whole ship, and you're not going to be able to detonate your bomb, and then that's it. End of story. So they argue back and forth for a little bit, and then he's still like, you know what, I don't care. He takes off his helmet, and you see his scary-ass face, which actually looked pretty good. And then Clara starts singing, I'm hungry like the wolf. Wolf? What do you think happens? Obviously, the world doesn't end, because that's not how Doctor Who episodes end. No. Instead, Skaldek realizes, as soon as the submarine starts being lifted by like a tractor beam, his people have come for him. And he gets materialized up into their ship. He still has the opportunity to detonate the bombs if he wanted to. He doesn't. And he disappears into the night with his alien friends. By the way, totally forgot to mention this, the TARDIS disappeared when they got on the ship. And Clara asks him, you know, like, where'd the TARDIS go? And he's like, oh, like, I messed with the hand. The TARDIS disappears whenever it comes under, like, fire or water or ice warriors. And I'm sure it's close. And he pulls out a Sonic and he's like, yep, it's at the pole. And she's like, well, that's not far. And he's like, the South Pole. Ha 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 ha. We are nowhere near that. So it ends with a giggle. I mean, there was a lot of political allegory about war and the nature of war and the Cold War and American aggression, and there were some good references to really good 80s British pop music, and the guest stars were awesome. Like, they were really good. We didn't get that much about Clara, but she got to see some real scary action, and we got to see the Ice Warriors again. Like, the Ice Warriors are so friggin' cool. So I thought that was great. I was really excited about this episode. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely been my favorite so far. Some people, and I just read it online, are arguing that Clara was created and scattered across the galaxy by I am the Bad Wolf. Some people are thinking that Clara actually didn't die when she was a Dalek. She actually became the crazy Dalek Emperor dude that Rose fights in the Bad Wolf episode, the last episode of season 1. And when she takes your atoms and scatters them, some people are saying that she scattered Oswin, Clara's, real, like, mind and being and essence into different periods of time to help the Doctor. That is fucking interesting. That would explain all the things, the knocking, you know, the nods to Rose. That would explain the wolf, kind of. And it would explain why she pops up everywhere and always seems to be helpful. And it could have been that she was the girl in the shop. I'm hoping that Gaddis takes over after Moffat, because that would be, like, really awesome, because he obviously makes really great episodes. So yeah, hopefully next week I'll actually be able to do a proper and punctual review of the episode, and hopefully you guys will give me some good feedback about what you think regarding the Rose, Bad Wolf, Clara is everything scattered, and maybe she was the Dalek Emperor thing. If I can find the link to where I read it, I'll post it below. I'm probably going to try and start getting into reviews of Orphan Black or Game of Thrones or one or the other. Right now, this is about as much as I can handle with work and being sick. Hopefully, I'll be able to add a little bit more here and there. I still really want to show you guys my Harry Potter Wizards collection, because it's, like, the coolest thing ever. And other than that, I'm going to go watch the Rangers beat the Flyers. And I got to go, because I need to have a drink. It's been a long day. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoy this. Fuck notes. I don't need notes. I do what I want. God, I want to go have a beer. Bye.